The Land Rover Defender is one of the most flexible off-road vehicles ever produced. Because of its simplistic ladder rail chassis design and minimal construction, Land Rovers are easily adapted to various tasks. We take a look at 5 of the best and most extreme adaptations. Railroad conversions. This modification proves that Land Rovers really can go anywhere and handle like they're on rails. When railway maintenance crews need to reach remote stretches of track with up to 1 tonne of heavy welding gear and personnel, they use these specially fitted out defenders to travel along the very lines of the railway, known as road rail conversions. Using electro-hydraulic bogies, the driver can align the landy with the railway, then deploy the rail gear from the cab. Speeds of 20 miles an hour can be achieved, which equates to travelling 2 miles in 6 minutes. The Land Rover will also travel 15 miles per hour in reverse. Newer conversions allow for a quicker dismounting from the track. This isn't a new concept though. Land Rover have been doing this a long time, as this footage of a Series 1 shows. The older systems required the wheels to be removed and replaced with wheels that were designed to fit the railway, making them less convenient and a lot more time consuming to swap over. More recently, Land Rover together with road rail specialist Aquarius Rail released this video of a Discovery Sport towing 100 tonnes of rail stock in Switzerland. Impressive stuff. On the subject of tracks, this tracked Land Rover conversion makes its way into our list at number 2. This conversion was pioneered by the company Cuthbertson of Bering in Scotland in the 1950s, originally adding tank-like tracks to a Series 1. The Land Rover would have its wheels removed and replaced with sprockets, after which it was dropped onto the tracked subframe, removing stress from the wheel hubs. The idea was to increase the off-roading ability of a standard Land Rover, with massive ground clearance and reduced ground pressure measuring at a minuscule 1.9 pounds per square inch, allowing Cuthbertson shod Land Rover to travel easily over boggy or marshy terrain. It was intended to be used by telecommunications and power companies working in hostile and uneven landscapes, but suffered a number of problems, including a lack of stability thanks to the increased height and poor ramp over angle caused by the layout of the tracks when compared to a traditional tank design. Fortunately, a number of Cuthbertson's converted Land Rovers still exist today. Speaking of reduced ground pressure, our next Land Rover floats in at number 3. This is the Hover Rover. It is essentially, as the name suggests, a Land Rover adapted to be a part-time hovercraft. Technically speaking, this is actually known as a cushion craft, as opposed to being a fully blown hovercraft. Using 2 centrifugal fans, engineers from Vickers Armstrong Limited built this prototype in 1962. The idea was promising. Once the Land Rover's road wheels lost grip, the air cushion would inflate and work in tandem with the wheels to seek out traction. However, the problems with the design were numerous. The air cushion required a second engine, greatly reducing the vehicle's payload on-road, and gusting air from the cushion caused havoc with the crop sprayer on the back. It was deemed a failure, but an interesting idea nonetheless, and one that we wish really had taken off. Vickers later went on to produce the first small passenger ferry service hovercraft, the VA3. Amphibious Land Rovers. Our next modified Land Rover comes from 1990, when Roger Craythorne, technical PR manager for Land Rover at the time, decided to create an amphibious vehicle and float it around the Solent during Cows Week. We knew when Discovery was launched we'd have a new customer base, and a lot of those would be from the boating fraternity, Roger said. The design team borrowed a British Army floating Land Rover. The Army already had a lot of experience in building buoyant Land Rovers after they built 28 vehicles that could be floated across bodies of water. The Special Vehicles Operation team at Land Rover went one step further, fitting a hydraulic pump into the 200 TDI Discovery's drivetrain that could be used to run a propeller and rudder. Buoyancy is provided by 4 demountable giant air-filled pontoons attached to the side. In the cab, the only difference between the Aqua Land Rover and a standard production model is the addition of a small control joystick for rudder and a throttle lever. The Discovery could reach speeds of up to 6 knots. This vehicle is still in existence and seaworthy. It was used as recently as 2012 in Geneva to commemorate 25 years of Discovery. In 2008, farmer and adventurer Steve Burgess, along with passengers, crossed the 56-mile-wide Bering Strait from Siberia to Alaska. The expedition cost £250,000 and the Land Rover was officially registered as a boat, with most of it having been built by Steve on his farm. After sea trials, which included a successful crossing of the notoriously rough Irish Sea in 2004, as well as some brief tests in the North Sea on the shores of Bridlington, Steve and his friend Dan Evans successfully crossed the Bering Strait. It was their second attempt, as their first attempt a month earlier had to be abandoned due to poor weather. It took them a total of 18 hours and 50 minutes. Safari Rover. Safari and Land Rovers go together like Morecambe and Wise. This Safari Land Rover, though, offers guests something a little bit different. When folded up, the vehicle appears pretty standard, but this Defender is capable, as the company puts it, of metamorphosis, or perhaps more fittingly, metalmorphosis. Essentially, it is an entire room stored within a Land Rover. The Land Rover features a full-size double bed, proper clothes storage and even a veranda. Not only can you spend comfortable nights sleeping in an actual bed, you've got power, running water and a wrought iron spiral staircase to traverse to the upper level. The bathroom is quite a step up from a chemical toilet or even a hole in the ground. The walls are wood clad and it houses a full-size bath. Just because you're out in the wilderness doesn't mean you should have to wait for hours to fill your bath. No, this tub fills in 4 minutes, pumped directly from the 1,000 litre onboard storage tank. For more information, visit tentwithaview.com. Land Rover features as a part of a selection of their safari tours throughout Tanzania, including the Serengeti and the Selous Game Reserve. Thanks for watching this FunRover video. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support us, you can visit shop.funrover.com for a range of high quality Land Rover related products. Till next time, remember, where we are going, we don't need roads.